She was the first to raise her hand wanting to answer the question, but solely because she was female, the professor pretended not to see her.
Mr. Pruitt!
The first male student stood up but couldn't answer for a long time. She waited impatiently and raised her hand again. The professor glanced down at the roster, noted her name, yet ignored her once more.
Mr. Fitzpatrick!
She felt somewhat disappointed. When the second male student also gave an incorrect answer, she couldn't help but raise her hand again.
Question already, Mrs. Ginsburg.
Correction, Professor Brown.
She stood up and articulated the case analysis clearly and completely. The male tried to debate with her but couldn't win, then attempted to interrupt her. But the woman didn't yield at all.
If I may finish?
She gave a perfect answer. The entire room fell silent, but the professor wasn't willing to commend this girl who had overshadowed the male students.
Is that an answer, Mrs. Ginsburg, or a filibuster?
This woman was the later renowned Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the second female justice in the history of the U.S. Supreme Court. But when she was young, it was still very rare for women to study law. This was 1950s Harvard University, where only 9 of over 500 freshmen were female. What should have been a proud achievement turned out to be constant discrimination after enrollment. At a formal dinner, the dean arrogantly posed a question to the women present.
Why you're occupying a place at Harvard that could have gone to a man?
Although all the women felt offended, they maintained their composure. The first woman answered, "My father is a lawyer. I'm studying law to inherit the family business." The dean remained noncommittal. The second woman said, "I don't want to marry, nor do I want to be a teacher or nurse." But before she could finish, the dean interrupted.
That's not a very good reason.
Next.
When it was Ginsburg's turn, she accidentally dropped her fork. Others thought she was nervous, but in truth she was preparing her counterattack.
My husband Marty is in the second year class. I'm at Harvard to learn more about his work, so I can be a more patient and understanding wife.
This was an obvious sarcasm. The dean, who intended to humiliate the women, ended up making himself the fool. Years later, Ginsburg graduated first in her law school class. But to her surprise, in the vast city of New York, not a single law firm was willing to hire her. Some said women needed to care for children. Some claimed women couldn't blend into male client circles. Others asserted women were too emotional. And one even said, "If our wives knew you were working here,
They get jealous.
Ginsburg stood dejected on the streets of New York. She began to doubt, was she really, as the dean had said, taking up a position that wasn't meant for her? After contemplation, she decided to devote herself to finding answers.